A dark silence hung over the empty battlefield of stars. Broken ships floated like dead whales in an endless ocean. Cold fires of distant suns gave no warmth. All around, only wreckage and static drifted. 4 months, the alien fleets had ruled this sector. They had crushed resistance, destroyed colonies, and burned worlds. No human ship had dared to enter this space since the last defeat. The aliens called it the Dead Corridor. To them, it was secure, safe, untouchable. Then, without warning, a signal cracked through their listening posts. A single, sharp transmission. Warning issued, a human warship has breached the battlefield. At first, the alien commanders thought it was an error. A human warship? Impossible. Humans had fled long ago. But the signal repeated, cold and clear. Somewhere in the silent dark, a Terran engine was alive. A sensor station at the edge of the corridor caught a faint light. A single shape gliding among the debris. It moved slow, almost like a ghost. Its metal skin was scorched black. Its weapons were hidden. No banner, no beacon. But its energy signature, its heartbeat, was unmistakable. Terran. The alien operators felt a tremor of unease. They whispered to each other, in their clicking voices, about the stories they had heard. Stories of humans who would rather burn their own ships than surrender. Stories of desperate strikes, of impossible victories. Stories of a species that refused to die quietly. They had believed those stories were myths. Now, something was moving through the dark like a hunting shark. Inside the warship, the crew sat silent. Their faces were pale, but their eyes were bright. Every movement was precise. They had not come here by mistake. They had not come to run. In the command chair sat a woman whose name the aliens did not know yet. Her hands rested steady on the armrests. Around her, screens glowed with enemy positions. She studied them like a chessboard. Every piece, every threat, every chance. "We're in," said a voice from the sensors. No response yet. "They don't believe it's us." "Good," she said quietly. "Let them doubt. For now." The ship drifted closer to a ruined carrier. Alien scavenger drones moved around it, cutting off panels, stealing parts. They did not see the warship yet. The human vessel's hull shimmered faintly as hidden panels shifted, exposing dark barrels. Inside, missiles waited like coiled snakes. In the alien command ship far away, alarms began to ring. Data streamed in. Unknown ship. Unknown vector. Unknown weapons. Panic spread through the bridge. The commander slammed a clawed hand on the console, demanding confirmation. Was it a trick? A probe? Or something worse? "Bring me visuals," the alien commander hissed. The screen flickered. A grainy image appeared. At first, it showed only debris. Then a shape emerged from shadow. Long, predatory. Human. The commander froze. It remembered old footage, old battles. It remembered the first time it saw a Terran warship open fire. It remembered the scream of burning hulls. And it remembered something else, the sound of drums humans had broadcasted over open channels as they fought. War drums in the void. "Destroy it," the commander ordered. But the human ship had already moved. Engines flared for a second, then vanished into silence. The alien fleet scrambled, firing blind. Missiles streaked into empty space. The warship slipped between wrecks, using them as shields. It was not running. It was hunting. Inside, the crew prepared. "They've seen us," said the weapons officer. "Orders." The captain's eyes stayed on the tactical map. "We send a message," she said. "Not words. Action." The first missile fired. Silent, fast, invisible. It struck a scavenger drone. The explosion rippled across the wreckage, scattering pieces into the void. Drones screamed and fled. The aliens watched in confusion. Only one missile. Only one strike. Why? Then, across all alien channels, a second signal appeared. A voice, human and clear. Warning issued. A human warship has breached the battlefield. Leave now. It was not a plea. It was a threat. The aliens hesitated. This was not the behavior of a lone, desperate ship. This was something else. A signal. A challenge. A promise of what was coming. The commander stared at the screen, claws trembling. How many ships were behind this one? How many humans were moving unseen in the dark? The warship glided forward, slowly, like a blade sliding from its sheath. Its guns began to glow. The crew waited for the next order. In the captain's eyes burned a fire no alien could understand. She thought of the colonies burned, the children lost, the endless retreat. She thought of the message she had received weeks ago, the single plea for help from a mining station crushed under alien rule. That was why she was here. Alone, but not afraid. "Fire control ready," said her weapons officer. She gave a small nod. "Let's show them," she whispered. Outside, the first broadside lit up the void. The alien fleet reeled from the first human strike. Sensors burned with false echoes. Orders collided. Ships turned and drifted without aim. The dark space of the dead corridor was suddenly alive, and the calm power of the invaders cracked. The lone human warship drifted between wrecks like a ghost. Its black hull showed no flag, no name. Only those aboard knew what it was called, Resolute. The captain sat still in her chair. Around her, the crew moved quickly, speaking in low voices. They were outnumbered 100-1, but no one looked afraid. Every eye burned with the same hard light. "We hit them," the weapons officer whispered. "They're confused." "Good," the captain said. "Confusion is our shield. But it will not last. They will regroup." On the alien flagship, the commander tried to hold control. "Find the Terran ship," it hissed to its staff. "Scan every shadow. Force it out." New orders went out to smaller craft. Fighters armed their guns. Drones swarmed like insects, combing the wreckage. But Resolute stayed hidden, moving in bursts of silent thrust, always one step ahead. Inside the human warship, the engineer watched a small screen. Red lines showed heat levels. "Shields holding," he murmured. "But if they catch us in the open—" "They won't," the captain said. Her voice stayed calm. "They think we are one ship. We are more than that." The engineer frowned. "More. We are the first sound of a storm," she said softly. "And storms travel fast." A soft pulse reached her console. A coded reply to the message she had sent. Somewhere far behind, out of sight, something answered. She gave no sign, but her grip on the armrest tightened. Help might come. Or not. For now, they had to hold the enemy's eyes. The alien drones found a clue, a flicker of heat, a trail of ions. They rushed forward. Fighters spread out like a net. Beams lanced through debris, carving paths. The human ship sensors showed the trap closing. "They're coming," said the sensor officer. "Good," the captain replied. "Prepare the surprise." Panels along Resolute's side slid open. Small pods, black and silent, floated free into the wreck field. They drifted like pieces of metal, harmless. No alien sensor marked them as a threat. But inside each pod waited a small, clever machine built for sabotage. They would stick to enemy hulls, cut wires, blind sensors, and burn engines. "Pods away," said the weapons officer. "Let them come closer," the captain murmured. Alien fighters surged toward the warship. They saw an easy kill, one small human ship trapped in debris. They did not see the pods until it was too late. One fighter lost power, spinning out. Another's gun arm jammed. Sensors blinked off. Confusion spread. Their net broke. The captain watched in silence. She gave no victory shout, no smile. She only marked enemy losses on her screen. "Stay ready," she told her crew. "This is only the beginning." On the flagship, The alien commander stared in disbelief. Sabotage, it hissed. From where? No answer came. Its fleet was bleeding, and it did not know why. Call reinforcements, it ordered. Seal the corridor. But at that moment, a second human signal cut through their channels. A low, steady beat. Like drums. Like a heart. 3 beats, a pause, 3 beats again. Every alien officer froze. They knew that sound from their oldest records. It was the signal Terrans had sent before major strikes. It meant, "We are coming." "Impossible," the commander whispered. "There cannot be more." Inside Resolute, the captain heard the beat too. It came from far behind, not from her ship. She closed her eyes for a second. Others were moving. Others had heard the same plea for help. The aliens were right about one thing: storms travel fast. "Captain," the sensor officer asked. "Is that?" "Yes," she said. "We are not alone anymore." Outside, the alien formation broke. Some ships turned to run. Others stayed, confused. The void seemed to thrum with invisible power. A feeling spread, even across cold machines. The humans were not only back. They were everywhere. The captain straightened in her chair. Her hands were steady. "They will learn," she said quietly, "that humanity does not forget." In the darkness, Resolute turned its guns once more. The crew prepared the next strike. In the captain's eyes burned a promise, not just of survival, but of revenge, of rescue, of a rising tide no alien could stop. The warship was only the first note of a song that would shake the stars. And out in the far distance, something answered again. The void of the dead corridor was no longer quiet. Alien ships drifted with damaged engines. Sensors flickered. Fighters hung back, afraid to close in. The lone human warship, Resolute, moved like a dark spear through the wreck field. It had struck and vanished, leaving confusion and fear. On the alien flagship, the commander's claws tapped the console. It had called for reinforcements. Now heavy cruisers were coming from nearby sectors. More drones, more fighters, more power. "Trap the Terran," it hissed to its staff. "End this ghost." But inside Resolute, the crew already knew. Screens showed the new contacts arriving. 3 cruisers, 6 escorts, countless drones. The sensor officer swallowed hard. "They're closing in, Captain." The captain stared at the map. "Then we don't wait for them to surround us," she said. "We move first." Her crew turned to her. Outnumbered, outgunned, with no help in sight, yet her voice was calm. "We're not here to fight a battle they choose," she continued. "We're here to send a message. To show them that no place is safe." "Message sent already," the weapons officer muttered. "Not enough," she said. "We go deeper." The ship's engines flared. Resolute dove toward the heart of the alien formation. It passed broken hulls and fields of drifting metal. Alien captains screamed warnings. Beams of energy fired from every side. But the human warship twisted and rolled, sliding through gaps, using debris as cover. In the alien flagship, the commander saw the human vessel charging. "It's insane," it spat. "It wants to die." Yet deep inside, it remembered old battles. Humans who rushed into fire not for death, but for a reason. It shivered. Inside Resolute, the engineer watched red lights climb on his console. "Shields at 40%, he said. "Keep them up," the captain answered. "All power to engines for 30 seconds. Then weapons." The crew obeyed. Sparks jumped from panels. The ship shook under fire. But it kept moving, faster and faster. Ahead lay a huge alien supply carrier. It fed the fleet, full of fuel and weapons. It was not built for combat. The captain's eyes locked on it. "That's our target," she said. The weapons officer's fingers hovered over the controls. "If we hit that, every ship in this sector will be on us." "They're already on us," the captain replied. "Strike hard, vanish fast. Resolute broke from the wreckage and aimed its guns. Alien sensors screamed. Fighters rushed to block its path. Drones swarmed. But the sabotage pods launched earlier were still at work. Fighters lost control. Drones spun away. The path opened just enough. Fire! The captain ordered. Missiles streaked from the warship's sides. Beams shot from its nose. The supply carrier's shields flared, then broke. Explosions rippled along its hull. Fuel cells ignited, one after another. A brilliant fireball blossomed in the dark. Pieces of alien steel spun outward like burning leaves. On the flagship, the commander watched in shock. Its fleet's heart was torn open. Supplies gone. Order broken. It had underestimated this one ship. But even more, it feared the meaning. Humans had struck not at random, but at the core. Kill them! It roared. No mercy. Hundreds of weapons locked on Resolute. The human ship veered hard, engines screaming. A beam grazed its side, burning deep. Panels blew out. Smoke filled corridors. Crew fell but kept working. Damage control, the captain shouted. Seal sections 9 and 10. The engineer's voice shook. Hull breach contained. Engines still online. Shields, 20%. Good, she said. Her eyes stayed bright. We're still alive. Behind her, the sensor officer stared at his screen. Captain, that signal again. She turned. Where? Everywhere, he said softly. Multiple sources. Different vectors. The sound came through the speakers, the slow, steady beat. 3 beats, pause, 3 beats again. But now it was not just one faint signal. It was many, all around, like distant thunder rolling in from every side. A smile flickered on the captain's face. They're coming, she whispered. In the alien flagship, the commander's staff reported new contacts on long-range sensors. Unknown. Multiple. Fast. Too many to count yet. Is it? One of them asked. The commander's claws trembled. It cannot be, it said, but the words rang hollow. Out in the dark, beyond the reach of the alien fleet, small lights began to move. Shapes too far to resolve, but unmistakable. Human drives. Warships. Not one. Not two. Many. Inside Resolute, the captain stood tall. Her ship burned, her crew bled, but her message had been sent. Reinforcements had heard. Humanity was rising. The storm was no longer a whisper. It was a roar. She turned back to her crew. We're not done yet, she said. Hold the line. Show them we're still here. Resolute swung around, its guns charging for another strike. Alien ships scattered, unsure, afraid. The dead corridor, once a graveyard, now felt like a battlefield again. And in the space between stars, the tide began to turn. Space trembled with hidden engines. Resolute floated scarred and smoking, but still alive. Alien cruisers circled like predators, keeping their distance. On the screens of the human warship, small blue dots flickered on long-range sensors. Reinforcements. Real. Coming fast. Inside the bridge, the crew held their breath. The captain stood at the center, eyes fixed on the display. The dots were still far away, but each one pulsed with a Terran signature. Warships, carriers, support craft. Not ghosts. Not hope. Real ships. Contact in 20 minutes, said the sensor officer. His voice trembled. They answered us. The captain gave a small nod. We told the galaxy that humans still fight. Now they will see it. The engineer wiped sweat from his brow. If we last 20 minutes, he muttered. Shields at 12%. Hull damage critical. We'll last, the captain said quietly. We must. On the alien flagship, panic spread. New data poured in, multiple human drives, closing fast. The commander barked orders, but its staff hesitated. They had not prepared for a second human fleet. The corridor had been safe, untouchable. Now it was a trap for themselves. Form a wall, the commander snapped. Crush the lone ship before the others arrive. Alien cruisers shifted, tightening their net. Fighters swarmed like black insects. The trap closed again. Inside Resolute, the weapons officer glanced at the captain. We can't fight them all. Not like this. No, she agreed. But we can choose where to stand. Her fingers moved across the console. A hidden map appeared, old mining stations, abandoned tunnels, wreckage fields. She picked a spot, a dense cluster of dead transports ahead. A graveyard thick with metal. Perfect cover. Engines, full burn, she ordered. Take us there. Resolute's engines flared. The ship leapt forward, weaving through beams and missiles. Explosions shook its hull. Metal groaned. Sparks rained from the ceiling. But the ship kept moving, pulling the alien fleet after it. On the flagship, the commander narrowed its eyes. It runs. It hissed. We chase. We end it. But the captain was not running. She was leading. Pods ready, the weapons officer reported. Release them, she said. Tiny black pods floated free once again, slipping into the wreckage ahead. They latched onto old transports, waking hidden charges planted weeks before by human scouts. A trap inside a trap. Resolute slid into the graveyard, silent now. Alien fighters followed, eager to finish the kill. They darted between dead ships, weapons hot. Then the first charge detonated. A massive transport split in half, spraying shrapnel. Another explosion followed, then another. The graveyard came alive with fire. Alien fighters screamed, slamming into debris. Cruisers fired wildly but hit only wrecks. The captain watched, face still and pale. Her crew stared at the screen, stunned. The trap had worked. Path open, said the sensor officer. We can break through. Not yet, the captain said. We hold here. We make them bleed until our people arrive. Outside, Resolute's guns flashed again and again, striking crippled fighters, tearing through drones. Each shot was measured. Each missile counted. It was not chaos. It was a message. On the alien flagship, the commander gripped its chair. This is no lone ship, it whispered. This is a spear. Reports poured in, supply ships gone, fighters lost, morale collapsing. And the humans kept coming. In the distance, the blue dots on the human screen grew brighter. Closer. Engines like thunder now, not whispers. They're almost here, the engineer breathed. We just need a little more time. The captain's voice stayed steady. Then we give them time. All hands, hold the line. Alien cruisers tried to flank the human warship. Resolute turned, shields flickering, firing one last missile volley. Explosions rolled through the wreck field. In the chaos, a corridor opened, a lane of clear space pointing straight at the incoming human fleet. The captain saw it. There's our bridge, she said softly. The sensor officer turned to her. Captain, we're surrounded. We can't escape. She shook her head. We don't escape. We stand. Her crew looked at her. Some were pale. Some were bleeding. But no one spoke of surrender. They had come for a plea of help. They would not leave until the plea was answered. Outside, alien ships regrouped, their guns glowing. The commander screamed one last order. Destroy them now. Energy beams lanced toward Resolute. The ship shuddered. Panels burst. Alarms wailed. The bridge lights flickered. Shields gone, the engineer shouted. The captain gripped her chair. Then we fight bare, she said. In the black void beyond, the first Terran warships dropped out of faster than light. Blue light flared like dawn breaking. Massive shapes slid into view, carriers, destroyers, cruisers. Their guns already hot. Inside Resolute, the crew watched the screen. Hope filled their eyes for the first time. The captain allowed herself a single breath of relief. "We made them look at us," she whispered. "Now they will see what comes next." And in the alien flagship, the commander stared at the new arrivals. Its claws shook. The dead corridor, once theirs, now belonged to no one. The stars themselves seemed to shift. The human fleet's channels opened. A voice filled the bridge of Resolute. "This is Task Force Dawn. We have your signal. We are with you." The captain's eyes burned. "Then let's show them," she replied. The void brightened as hundreds of human guns prepared to fire. The storm had arrived. Blue light washed across the dead corridor as the first Terran ships arrived. Engines flared like small suns. Carriers opened their bays. Destroyers spread out in a crescent. Fighters poured into the dark like a swarm of silver sparks. The lonely warship Resolute floated in their path, battered and scarred but still alive. Inside the alien flagship, the commander's claws dug into the armrest. "Too many," it hissed. "Too fast." Its staff stared at their screens, watching more human ships drop from faster than light. The corridor that had been their safe zone now felt like a trap built for them. On Resolute's bridge, the crew stood silent as the display filled with friendly signatures. After hours of being alone, surrounded, hunted, they were no longer a single ship. They were a fleet. "This is Task Force Dawn," the voice said again over the speakers. "We have your signal. We are with you." The captain closed her eyes for a second, then opened them. "Copy," she said, voice steady. "We're still under fire. Alien flagship at Grid 6. Enemy cruisers scattered. We need to hold the corridor before they escape." "Understood," the voice replied. "All units moving to engage." The crew of Resolute felt a surge of energy, but the captain raised a hand. "Stay focused," she said quietly. "This is not over. This is only the first strike." Alien cruisers began to break away, trying to run. Others turned to fight, desperate. Drones rushed forward in clouds. The human fleet spread out, forming walls of fire. Railguns, plasma beams, and missile trails filled the black with streaks of light. The first clash shook the corridor. Inside the alien flagship, the commander screamed orders. "Shield the flagship. Cover our retreat." But its words fought against panic. Smaller ships fled without permission. The net they had built collapsed. Resolute rolled to starboard, guns glowing. "Target their engines," the captain ordered. "We don't let them run." Missiles streaked out, hitting the rear of a fleeing cruiser. Its engines flared and died. Human fighters swarmed over it, tearing at its guns. Another cruiser went dark. The aliens still outnumbered them, but their shape, their order, was gone. On the human side, Task Force Dawn moved with precision. Carriers launched more fighters. Destroyers fired coordinated volleys. It was not a desperate raid anymore. It was a counterattack. Yet inside Resolute, tension still hung heavy. "Shields still gone," the engineer warned. "Hull is cracked. We're one hit from breaking apart." "We're not leaving," the captain replied. "We finish what we started." The sensor officer looked up. "Captain, their flagship is powering a massive weapon. Looks like a super beam." Her eyes narrowed. "Time. 2 minutes." She thought fast. That weapon could slice through any of the arriving Terran ships. It could even cripple the fleet before the fight began. She turned to her crew. "We go in," she said. "Straight at the flagship." The engineer stared at her. "We'll be torn apart." "Maybe," she said. "But we've been their ghost all night. Let's be their nightmare one last time." Without another word, she set the course. Resolute's engines roared. The battered warship lurched forward, alone again, streaking toward the massive alien flagship at the heart of the chaos. Alien sensors lit up. Fighters swarmed to intercept. Beams slashed across the dark. But Resolute darted through wreckage, weaving between enemy fire. Its hull burned. Pieces of armor peeled away. Still it moved. On the flagship, the commander saw the human ship coming. "It dares," it whispered. "It dares again." It ordered all guns to fire. The sky between ships turned into a cage of light. Inside Resolute, alarms wailed. Panels burst. Crew clung to consoles. "Hull breach in Section 12, the engineer shouted. "Seal it," the captain barked. "All power to forward shields. Weapons on my mark." The massive alien weapon glowed brighter, gathering energy. One shot, and a whole wedge of the human fleet would die. The captain gripped her chair. "We're the distraction," she said. "Task Force Dawn will have a window." "Window for what?" the weapons officer asked. "To end this," she replied. The human fleet understood. As Resolute drew every eye, destroyers and fighters moved into hidden positions. Carriers swung their bows. Dozens of missiles armed at once. "Mark!" the captain shouted. Resolute fired everything it had. Missiles, beams, railgun rounds, all at the weapon core. Explosions rippled across the flagship's shields. They held, but the glow faltered. For a moment, the giant gun dimmed. "Now," the captain said into the comm. The human fleet unleashed a storm. Missiles streaked from every side. Fighters dove in, sacrificing themselves to punch holes in the shields. Beams cut through the dark. The alien flagship's shields cracked like glass. A final explosion tore across its hull. The giant weapon flickered, then died. Fire blossomed from its side. On Resolute's bridge, smoke filled the air. The engineer coughed. "We're hit. Engines failing." The captain stayed in her chair, eyes on the burning flagship. "Hold together," she whispered. "Just a little longer." Outside, the alien formation wavered. Their leader crippled, their weapon gone, their courage broke. Ships turned to flee. Drones scattered. The captain watched, chest heaving. "Message sent," she murmured. "Now they know." The voice of Task Force Dawn came through again. "We've got you, Resolute. We're moving to cover." For the first time in hours, the captain allowed herself a small, tired smile. The war was far from over, but the dead corridor was no longer dead. It was awake. And in the distance, more blue dots appeared on sensors. More Terran signatures. More ships answering the plea. The stars themselves seemed to tremble. Smoke drifted inside Resolute's bridge like gray ghosts. Sparks jumped from broken panels. The ship floated half dead in the middle of the battlefield it had created. Around it, the wrecks of alien cruisers burned like dying stars. Human fighters streaked past, chasing the last fleeing drones. The dead corridor was no longer quiet. It was alive with war. But even as Task Force Dawn secured the area, new reports came in. The aliens were not finished. They were moving more fleets from deeper sectors. Massive reinforcements. Heavy carriers, siege ships, even experimental craft no one had seen before. The corridor would soon be flooded again. Inside Resolute, the sensor officer read the data aloud, his voice thin. 3 more groups inbound. Estimated arrival, 8 hours. The captain's face stayed still. Then we have 8 hours to prepare. The engineer leaned on his console. We can't even move, he said. Engines down. Shields gone. Weapons almost empty. We're not running, the captain said. We're holding. On the main screen, the Terran admiral from Task Force Dawn appeared. His face was lined with strain. Captain, he said, we've secured the corridor for now. We're sending tugs to pull you back to the fleet. No, she replied calmly. We stay forward. We've seen their staging points. We know where they'll come from. Use us as a marker. We'll call targets as they arrive. The admiral hesitated. You're out of ammunition. Not out of eyes, she said. And not out of courage. He studied her for a moment, then gave a short nod. Very well. We'll set up a perimeter around you. Reinforcements from the next sector are on the way. If we can hold here, we can push out. The link closed. The bridge went quiet again except for the hum of damaged systems. The crew looked at their captain. She met each gaze in turn. We started this, she said. We'll see it through. Hours crawled by. Human ships worked like ants, moving debris into barriers, anchoring mines, setting up hidden turrets. Fighters refueled and rearmed. Tugs patched holes in Resolute's hull just enough to keep her alive. She looked like a wounded animal in a den of traps. In the dark beyond, alien scouts crept closer. Small flashes on sensors. A taste of what was coming. They're testing us, the sensor officer said. Let them, the captain replied. We'll show them the cost. Her crew moved quietly. They had fought, bled, almost died. Now they were calm again, like stones before a wave. They cleaned weapons by hand, checked suits, spoke in low voices. They were tired but steady. Far away, on the alien flagship that had survived the first battle, a new figure arrived, a higher commander from the core worlds. Its armor gleamed. Its eyes burned. It did not shout. It only whispered, "Bring me the human ghost ship. I want it broken on my deck." New orders went out to the fleets. They would not just retake the corridor. They would crush the symbol of human defiance. Back on Resolute, the captain studied a small data crystal. It held the original plea for help, the mining station's desperate signal. She kept it near her chair, a reminder. She touched it once, then set it aside. They think we're just a ship, she murmured. They don't see what's coming. As if on cue, the long-range sensors flared. Massive alien drives. 3 groups merging into one formation. Bigger than before. The void seemed to darken under their size. They're here, the sensor officer whispered. Then so are we, the captain said. The admiral's voice came through again. All units, prepare. Defensive grid active. Fighters launch. We hold this line. Human ships lit their engines. Mines armed. Guns charged. The corridor's wreckage became a fortress. Inside Resolute, the crew strapped in. The captain's voice was calm. They will try to break us. We do not break. We are the wall they hit. The first alien wave appeared, sleek and fast. Fighters ahead, cruisers behind. They spread out, probing, firing test shots. Human guns answered. Mines detonated. The dark filled with light again. In the alien flagship, the High Commander leaned forward. Find the ghost ship, it hissed. Kill it first. Then the rest. Dozens of alien fighters peeled off, diving straight toward Resolute. The captain watched them come. Let them, she said softly. We're not a ghost anymore. We're a signal. As the fighters closed in, hidden turrets in the wreck field opened fire. Beams cut through the swarm. Mines exploded, scattering survivors. The first wave broke against the human defenses. On the bridge, the sensor officer smiled grimly. They're bleeding. Good, the captain said. But this is just the beginning. Beyond the chaos, more alien ships emerged, bigger and heavier, their guns glowing like small suns. The real battle was about to start. The corridor would become a furnace. And somewhere in that fire, the fate of both species would begin to shift. The captain tightened her straps, eyes on the dark. Hold fast, she told her crew. The stars are watching. Outside, the second wave closed in. The dead corridor was no longer dead. It burned. Mines exploded like silent thunder. Beams crossed the void in bright nets. The alien fleet pushed forward in wave after wave. Human ships held the line, their hulls glowing red from the strain. In the middle of it all, scarred and smoking, Resolute still floated like a black spear planted in the dark. On the alien flagship, the High Commander watched the chaos. Its cold eyes narrowed. The first 2 waves had failed. Now it would unleash the third and final assault, heavy carriers, siege ships, and its own flagship's core weapon repaired. "Break them," it whispered. "Break their ghost ship. Break their spirit." Inside Resolute, the bridge shook under another impact. Panels sparked. The engineer wiped blood from his face. "We're holding, but just barely. They're throwing everything at us." "Good," the captain said quietly. "Let them." Her eyes stayed fixed on the tactical map. Behind the alien formation, a faint new signal pulsed, human reinforcements, bigger than before, still minutes away. If they could hold just a little longer, the corridor would be secured forever. The sensor officer's hands trembled on his console. "Their flagship's weapon is charging again," he said. "Same massive beam. 2 minutes." The captain looked around at her tired crew. Faces pale, uniforms scorched, eyes burning. "We don't wait for them to fire," she said. "We end this." "How?" the engineer asked. "We've got nothing left." She took a breath. "We still have us." Her plan was simple and brutal. Resolute would charge straight at the alien flagship and detonate its remaining warheads at point-blank range, crippling the weapon long enough for the arriving human fleet to finish the job. It was a suicide run, but she said nothing about that part. She keyed the comm, Task Force Dawn. "This is Resolute. We're going for the flagship. Clear us a path." The admiral's voice came back sharp. "Captain, your ship can't survive that." "We can't survive waiting either," she replied. "We're out of time." The admiral hesitated, then, "Understood. We'll cover you." Around them, human ships shifted formation, opening a narrow lane straight toward the alien flagship. Fighters dove in to draw fire, missiles streaked to break enemy screens. The lane glowed with death, but it was open. "Engines, full burn," the captain ordered. Resolute leapt forward. Alarms screamed. Beams slashed past, grazing the hull. Armor peeled away. But the ship kept going, straight into the teeth of the alien fleet. On the alien flagship, the High Commander saw it coming. "Impossible," it hissed. "It dares again." It ordered all guns to focus on the lone Terran ship. The sky ahead turned into a wall of light. Inside Resolute, everything shook. "Hull breach in sections 3, 5, and 9, the engineer shouted. "Seal them," the captain said. "Weapons, charge all remaining warheads." "They'll destroy us before we reach them," the weapons officer cried. "Then we go faster," she said. The crew worked like machines, hands flying over consoles even as the deck pitched beneath them. They knew what this meant. None spoke of stopping. The alien flagship's weapon glowed brighter, about to fire. But just as it reached full charge, Resolute burst through the last line of drones, spinning debris around it like a cloak. Its nose pointed straight at the weapon's heart. "Detonation ready," the weapons officer said, voice shaking. The captain gripped her chair. "For every colony burned," she whispered. "For every plea ignored." Then louder. "Now." Resolute fired all remaining warheads at once. They streaked into the alien flagship's weapon core, detonating in a blinding flash. The beam never fired. The core tore open. Explosions rippled down the flagship's spine. Fire erupted from its sides. The blast slammed Resolute, tearing off whole sections. The bridge went dark. Smoke filled the air. The crew clung to their seats as the ship spun. But through the haze, the sensor officer's voice cracked. "Their weapons gone. Flagship crippled." Outside, the arriving human reinforcements dropped from faster than light. Dozens of warships, guns blazing. They poured fire into the crippled alien flagship and the rest of the fleet. Alien ships broke formation, scattering, fleeing. The dead corridor lit up like dawn. On Resolute's bridge, the engineer coughed. We're still here." The captain opened her eyes. The ship was barely holding together, but it was alive. "We did it," she murmured. "We gave them a chance." The comm crackled. The Admiral's voice. Captain, we've secured the corridor. Stand by for rescue. You're a legend. She looked at her crew, exhausted, burned, but smiling through the smoke. Not legends, she said softly. Just humans answering a call. Outside, the human fleet pushed the aliens out of the corridor. The plea for help had been heard. Humanity had mobilized, and the stars shook. And in the quiet after the battle, Resolute floated among wreckage and fire, scarred but unbroken, the first spark of a war the aliens had never wanted but would never forget.